Alright, so you're spinning up a new project. You've got your code, you've got your server, and now you're staring down the barrel of one of the oldest, most important decisions in tech, Apache or Nginx. And trust me, this isn't just some dusty debate for old-school sysadmins. In 2026, getting this choice right is absolutely crucial for your project's speed and its ability to grow. So here's the game plan for the next few minutes. We're going to start with the basic dilemma, then dive deep into their core philosophies, what makes them tick. Then we'll get to the fun part, the hard numbers on performance. After that, we'll build a quick guide to help you choose, look at some pro-level security and hybrid setups, and finally give you the final verdict for 2026. Let's dive in. Okay, first up, the web server dilemma. We're talking about that fundamental problem that every single developer and sysadmin has to solve right out of the gate. Picture this. You've got a brand new server, all shiny and ready to go. Before you can even think about launching your website or your app, you've got to pick its engine. And this one choice, it affects everything. Speed, how many users you can handle, even how you configure your site down the line. And just to make sure we're all on the same page here, what is a web server really? Think of it as the digital messenger between your server and your user's browser. Someone wants to see your site, the web server fields the request, grabs all the right files, and sends them zipping back across the internet. It's the silent hero behind literally every website you visit. Now, let's meet our two main contenders. The real difference between Apache and Nginx isn't just a list of features, it's about their core design. They have completely different philosophies on how to handle web traffic. In one corner, you've got Apache. This is the veteran, the workhorse that's been powering the web since 1995. Its approach is pretty straightforward. A new visitor shows up, it spins up a new process or thread just for them. It's like having a dedicated butler for every single guest. And in the other corner, you have Nginx, the modern contender. It was literally born to solve the problem of handling thousands of connections at once, using a totally different event-driven model. And this diagram here, it perfectly illustrates Apache's model. A request comes in and it gets passed through this whole series of phases and modules. This is what makes Apache so incredibly powerful and flexible. But you can see it's a complex journey, and having a separate worker to manage each and every one of those journeys can eat up a lot of resources, especially memory. Nginx, on the other hand, is completely different. The best way to think about it is like one super efficient waiter in a packed restaurant. Instead of handling one table from start to finish, they take everyone's order, give them all to the kitchen at once, and then bring out food as it's ready. This one worker, or thread, juggles tons of connections at the same time, which is incredibly light on resources. So this table really breaks it all down. You see the core architectural split right there. But look at the configuration style. This is a huge deal. Apache lets you drop these little .htaccess configuration files all over your project, which is super convenient for developers. Nginx says, nope, one central file to rule them all. It's a fundamental split, distributed flexibility versus centralized control. All right, enough theory. How do these different philosophies actually play out in the real world? Let's look at the numbers and see how they perform when the pressure is on. Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. Look at this. When we're just serving static files like images, CSS, JavaScript, Nginx just flies. With 10,000 users hitting the server at once, it's pushing out over 12,000 requests a second. Apache, well, it's struggling to hit 5,000. That's not just a little faster. Nginx is more than twice as fast here. And it's not just about raw speed, it's about efficiency. Under a heavy load, Nginx used almost half the RAM. That is a huge deal. Especially if you're trying to keep your hosting costs down or you're running on a smaller server where every megabyte counts. But here's the plot twist. When you switch over to dynamic content, like a WordPress site where the server has to think and build the page each time, that massive performance gap shrinks a lot. Nginx is still a little bit faster, but suddenly it's a much, much closer race. This really shows that the best server totally depends on the job you're giving it. So, with all that data swimming around in our heads, let's get super practical. How do you actually use this information to pick the right tool for your project? This is the big question, isn't it? It's not about which one is better in some abstract way. It's about which one is the perfect fit for what you're trying to build right now. This decision table really lays it all out. If you're building a traditional WordPress site or you've got a legacy app that absolutely needs those .htaccess files, Apache is a solid, easy choice. But if you're building a high-traffic site with lots of images, or you need a super efficient front door for your app like a reverse proxy, Nginx was literally built for that job. And if you're on a tiny server where every bit of RAM is precious, yeah, Nginx is your best friend. Okay, let's get into some of the more advanced stuff. We're going to talk about keeping things secure and a really clever strategy that lets you use the best parts of both servers. When it comes to security, let's be clear, both of these are battle-tested and rock-solid. Apache has this massive ecosystem of security modules, like the famous mod_security. Nginx has its own powerful tools, like Nginx and awesome built-in rate limiting. The bottom line here is that one isn't more secure than the other. Real security comes from a smart configuration, not from the name of the software. But what if you want Nginx's amazing speed for static files, but you also need Apache's convenience with .ht access? Well, guess what? You can have both. This is the hybrid approach. You put Nginx out front as the bouncer. It handles all the traffic, serves up all the images and CSS super fast, and only when it gets a request for a dynamic page, it quietly passes that job back to Apache running behind the scenes. It's the best of both worlds. So, after going through all of this, what's the final verdict? What should you be thinking about if you're making this decision today? Here is our #1 recommendation. If you are starting a new project in 2026, your default choice should probably be Nginx. Its advantages in performance and efficiency are undeniable, and they give you so much more headroom to scale. The only reason to start with Apache is if you have a very specific need, like a critical module you can't live without, or an absolute reliance on .ht access. But, and this is a big but, what if you already have a site running on Apache? Don't panic and don't feel like you need to migrate just for the sake of it. Apache is incredibly stable, it's well documented, and honestly, for most websites out there, its performance is totally fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that brings us to our final thought. For more than 20 years, this rivalry has shaped the internet. But the web is always changing. As our apps get more complex and traffic patterns shift, will these two titans continue their dance, or is there a new contender? A whole new philosophy just waiting in the wings to take over? That is a question for the future.